You don't know what happened to cause them to be adopted, so it's quite an insensitive question to ask.
There are so many reasons why someone could have been adopted, from like financial problems to abuse to parents, being drug addicts or something, and it is insensitive. It really is.
But all that really matters now is that we have someone who does love us.
Yeah.
And that's the important part.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for that now.
Yeah.
When people said to me, you're not loved, it's such a complicated statement. And if they asked me, then it's a complicated question, because from my personal experience, it wasn't so much that I wasn't loved, but I wasn't needed at that moment in time. No matter how much they wanted me, they just couldn't handle me, because there were 3 children under the age of 3, well, me being the 3rd child. And there was a lot of abuse of both, of substances, between both my parents. So they just wouldn't have been able to handle me, even though they wanted me. They couldn't have me.
I feel like the whole entire statement of "were you not loved" is so one-sided, because parents from any background or children from any background are always going to be loved, some more than others. No child is never loved. They're all loved in a different way, whether that's them not being picked first, that doesn't mean they're not loved, or that child being given everything they want. And that can also mean that they're not always not loved, because every single child is loved, and every single parent loves their child. They may hate them some days, they may wish they never were born, but that doesn't mean they will never stop loving them.
Yeah, and what I figured out over time is, just because you're adopted doesn't mean you weren't loved. It actually means that you were loved so much by your birth family that they wanted to give you the best life possible, which they couldn't provide. So it actually amplifies the love, in my opinion.
I think it's more than being loved or wanted. It's hard to be a parent. I think anyone who's been a parent or considering being a parent would know that there's so many finances involved, or if you're, your age, like if you're a young parent, it's going to be very difficult to look after a baby, especially if you want to go to university and you want to have, a great future, but a child might get in the way of that.
I know I was loved because they fought for me even though they couldn't look after me.
It doesn't matter as long as I'm loved and safe now.
When I was told that I wasn't loved from various people when I was younger, I kind of believed them, because I didn't know my story at all. I mean, I knew the names of my family members, but I didn't know anything about why I was adopted at all. So when people told me that I wasn't loved, it would build up in my head. No matter how much my adopted parents would tell me that I am loved and was loved, it would never really stick with me. But what really showed me that I was loved is that no matter what situation I went through, people were always there for me no matter what. Even if it sort of inconvenienced them. And looking back now, I wish that I could have told myself that I was loved and am loved by both my birth family and my adopted family.
In my childhood, I was considered not loved by people who did not know the adoption system and foster care. So people would automatically assume my parents did not love me, so therefore they gave me up. Which was not the case. They loved me, they just couldn't look after me with the resources that they had and the space. So my house growing up wasn't very great. Social services couldn't come anywhere close to it, and it took quite a while before I was even adopted, so obviously slowed down the process quite a lot. And if someone were to ask me, were you not loved? I would say, no, I wasn't loved. But then I was also given a second chance to be loved by a new family who wouldn't just leave me there neglected and treat me like second best. They would put me first and make sure that I had everything I needed and wanted to be happy.